I was working with a PE teacher recently, and he was sharing with me that his students were not turning in what he called simple PE logs. So I guess every week he has his students turn in a PE log of what exercises they were doing. And he feels they were super easy, but students were not getting them done, and he wasn't sure of what was going on. So I had to ask some hard questions. And my question was, well, is there any value in those PE logs? And how are you hooking students into wanting to get those done? So if you're ready to learn on how to reflect on your practice and how to hook students in, stick around. Welcome to the Teacher Revolution, where I give you tips and tricks on how you can continue to grow as an educator. I'm Cindy, I'm a counselor and a teacher coach, and today I want to talk about how we can hook students into our lessons and how we can do a better job of reflecting as teachers of whether we're providing value in those lessons. So if attention equals retention, then we need to focus on students' attention. And I think in a virtual setting, it is very difficult to do that. So before I share my 5 ways to hook students into your lesson, please remember to hit that subscribe button. So I want to show you a really easy way that you can get students' attention just to look at the screen. So a simple animation on a PowerPoint can be very powerful because we are competing with some hardcore social media that is completely distracting, but something huge on the screen on your PowerPoint as you're trying to teach your lesson is definitely going to get students to look in that direction. And sometimes all we need is their attention to get them there, and then we have to keep them there with other sources and other means. So that's what I want to talk about today. Because there's a push and pull in education, and a lot of times as teachers, we're pushing down this information on them and not sharing the value of that information. And sometimes it's not the teacher's fault, it's the curriculum, it's what we have to share, it's the standards that we need to get through. So we're pushing this information, and there's hardly any time for students to pull and want that information. And what we want to do is, in a lot of our lessons, we want to be able to have the students pull from us. Say, I want to learn more. Tell me more about that subject. How do we get students to go from a pushing model of teaching to a pulling model of teaching? And is it possible to do that for all your lessons? I don't know if it's possible for all your lessons, but it's definitely possible for most of your lessons. So going back to the example that I was talking about with my PE teacher that I was working with. So what he's doing in the classroom is he's doing virtual 30-minute workout videos with his students. And then the students have to log in their workouts. And so he was saying, you know, they're not into it. What can I do? And so I was like, all you got to do is ask the right question, because that's what's going to hook students in. So instead of just saying we're going to do a workout because it's good for you, how about asking them a question like, do you know someone with diabetes? What do you know about the benefits of exercise and managing diabetes? Let's discuss. You know, if you hook them in with a question about heart disease, about cancer, about anything like that, students are going to be like, yeah, I do know somebody who has that ailment. And they're going to want to learn more. And then you've hooked them in. Now you can get them going. If you're going to have them read a book, instead of saying, well, now we're going to read whatever the book title is, hook them into the story. Tell them what's going to happen. Tell them the most exciting things about that story, how it made you feel, about the characters, and then they're going to say, oh my God, that happened. I want to hear more about this story. You're going to hook them in. So make it exciting. Show images, show pictures of what it is that they're going to do, and they're going to want to get there. So they're going to start pulling for that information, and that's what we want to do. Another thing you can do is show a video. If you're virtually teaching or in person, show them a video, a clip of something exciting, of a volcano erupting, and then you're going to start talking about the parts of the earth or whatever it is. Show them a rocket ship taking off, and you're about to talk about gravity. And talk about it with some emotion, with something that gets you excited, because if you are genuinely interested in that subject, you're going to want to share even more. And you can do this for all subjects. And sometimes the crazier and the zanier the video that you show, the more that they're going to be intrigued and the more they're going to want to look at that screen. For the next one, tell a story. You know, as human beings, that's how we get most of our information, is through story. So tell them a story that's going to intrigue them and get them excited for what they're going to learn. So I want to give you some examples of 3 different stories for these subjects. So I have a story for dividing fractions, the respiratory system, and teaching the difference between there, and there. And so I'm going to tell you the story for each one to give you ideas of how stories can really get students hooked into what you're going to have them do. So if I was teaching dividing fractions, I would start off with this ridiculous picture of this huge pizza. And then I would share about having to share my slice with my cousins that came over and how upset I was, and I couldn't believe that I have to share my slice. So, you know, the pizza was sliced in 8ths, and now I have to take my 1/8 and divide it by 5. And how upset I was. And then as we're talking about fractions and going over, I can go back to my story over and over about, remember how I had to divide my pizza up? And it's just going to keep them a reminder, a visual reminder of what it is. You're making something concrete for them so that they have a visual. And sometimes it's kind of a stretch for some topics, but it's definitely a hook. They're going to want to hear about how you had to share your pizza and you were not happy about it. Okay, my next story. So I was hiking and I took this awesome picture. And as I was walking through this awesome path, somewhere along the way, I heard a rustling in the bushes. And I started freaking out because I wasn't sure what it was. And my hands started getting sweaty and I could feel my heart rate starting to go up. And I turn around and I see this. This image, this story is going to hook students in. And as you're talking about that, you can start describing the respiratory system, about your lungs increasing, and you can ask them, well, why was my heart beating faster? What was my body getting ready to do? They're going to be intrigued. The picture, the story, it's fun, it's exciting. You're not just saying, all right, guys, next we're learning about the respiratory system. You have them hooked in, you tell a story, and now they're going to want to know about why was your body doing that? Why was that happening? And you can talk about fight and flight, and you can just make it so much bigger than it was. And they're going to remember that story, and that's going to help them remember whatever it is that you were going to teach them at that time. Okay, so my last example. So I have a friend, awesome person, and she recently went to jail, and I was really upset. And I want to share that story with you because I think it's something that could have been avoided. It could be a mistake that we all make sometimes. And so I want to share with you the email that she sent that put her in jail. The email says, "Hi, Joe. There seems to be some problem with their computer. I will let them know. Someone will be right there to fix it. Thanks, Jane." So look at this email. And what did Jane, my best friend, do that got her in trouble? Yeah, she used the wrong there, and there. And so the grammar police came and got her. Like, it's just silly. It's just ridiculous. But as the students are learning, you can go back to your story about Jane and you can say, I don't want you to end up like my friend Jane. Remember my friend? And it's going to be silly, and you can remind them about the grammar police, and it just intrigues them. It's silly, a story, how you sell it, how you say it. Students are going to be so much more involved and engaged, and you're going to hook them into what it is that you want them to learn. The next thing is you can make it a challenge. Who doesn't like to be challenged in something? So you can set it up where you have boys versus girls. You can make teams. Students are going to be more engaged as soon as you say, today it's a challenge. Whether it's like a personal challenge for them to see what number question they can get to, that's just going to make a world of difference in their engagement. Okay, the next one is make it a game. Who doesn't get excited when the teacher says, we're gonna play a game today? So it's so easy, even on a worksheet, right on the margin, you can just put level 1, level 2, level 3, any kind of game. If you're gonna play like a Kahoot, a virtual game, that's gonna be engaging, it's gonna be fun. Students are gonna be way more engaged, and you're gonna hook them in and have some more retention of what it is that you're trying to do. And the last one is explore passion themes. If you're trying to get students to really be engaged in what they're learning, whether if you're trying to get them to write, to learn how to write, or to share, or to do an oral presentation, have them pick something that they're passionate about. If it's a passion project, they're gonna be way more engaged and more willing to do the assignment. So there's so many things that they can do it on. Reading, lyrics of a song, instruments, movies, cooking and baking, cars. There's just so many that we can look at. Sports. Students will be more engaged and have way more fun when you kind of leave it open-ended and let them explore what gets them excited. And you're gonna see a boost in engagement when you do that. If you want to read more on how you can boost student engagement and get more ideas, head over to my website at cindyrosa.com. And on there, you can also check out my mini course that I have put together, not just on how to boost student engagement, but also how to write an effective lesson plan that incorporates hooking students in, how to check for understanding effectively, and also how you can virtually or in person differentiate for your students. So to recap, there's 5 ways to boost student engagement. You can show a video, tell a story, make it a challenge, make it a game, and allow students to explore their passion. And make sure that your assignments have value. Students will get bored and there is no value. Don't just make them do busy work. Have it be something that they're gonna gain for. Just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you just assign work. Have it be valuable. Sometimes you can ask just one question, and that question, if it's written well, will give you everything you need to know of whether they learned something or not. Be very critical thinking question will change everything for you. Leave a comment below. I want to hear about your challenges of keeping student engagement and what are some things that you've tried that really help hook students into your lesson. Share them. Let me know what they are. And as always, remember, we don't need to make students want to come to school. We need to create schools that students want to attend.